The Breakfast Rush podcast, if you missed it this morning.
Businesses across eThekwini continue to express frustration over municipal billing errors, rising tariffs and concerns about service delivery. Recent reports presented before the council paint a troubling picture. A city of approximately 4.5 million people being supported by just over 500,000 rateable properties, while thousands of billing queries continue to be logged each month. Concerns have also been raised about water losses, electricity losses, unmetered consumption, and the pace at which smart metering technology is being rolled out. Joining us on the program this morning is eThekwini Democratic Alliance Councillor Andre BEETGE. Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Rush on Radio One and SAR.
Good morning. Welcome. Thank you very much for having us on this beautiful Monday morning.
Have you with us? Now, Councillor, you've described the city's financial stability as resting on a relatively small base of compliant ratepayers. How serious is the situation and what risks does it pose going forward?
Well, the problem is that you've got a shrinking rate base. So the city is more and more reliant on those who are actually contributing. And that transfers to the results in the increases that we are suffering year on year to balance the budget. You know, the figure you earlier mentioned in the opening statement, of those only 427,000 are residential. The rest are business and the rest of that figure are those households under 350,000 that don't contribute. If we don't do something, it means that those who are paying are actually being taxed more to sustain those who are not, because at the end of the day, everybody needs to use.
Indicate that only a fraction of eThekwini's population contributes directly through property rates. Why has the rate base remained so limited despite ongoing development claims?
Yes, that is a problem because we don't seem to extend that. We should be, and even in this budget, it makes provision for all households to at least contribute something. Now, that's something that's been on the books and in the talk for many, many years, but that hasn't been done. So the properties, we also pick up the threshold, but we're not extending it. And if you look at increasing it, if you look at other I don't want to nearly compare with other cities, but we're not growing to the extent that we should. Although we are told that there's more investment, Durban is just not attractive anymore. Your service delivery challenges makes people think twice before they come to Durban. You know, if you've got sewage running down the streets and you've got outages, you don't have water on tap. It makes people think twice whether Durban is actually the destination where they should be. And then they go somewhere else. And that, unfortunately, drains our rate base because it's normally those who contribute who then go and seek alternatives.
Councillor, you've highlighted what you call severe billing dysfunctionality within the municipality. What are the most common complaints residents are bringing to your office?
Yeah, as we said, the city says that they read water meters every month and electricity every third month. That's absolutely a myth. As it sits right here on my desk, I've got NPOs that are billed 100,000 Rand for water. I've got a service organization that's got 235,000. It's impossible that they have used this. And now, if the city doesn't read, then it means it's a dispute every time, and those not necessarily getting resolved within the billing cycles, only after several billing cycles. That results in disconnections, disputes. You have to sign an acknowledgement of debt. You have to pay a deposit. It's just not viable. We need to go over to the smart meter so that the city can immediately see when something is wrong, not when they eventually come and they estimate, and then come and read, and then find that there was an underground leak, and now suddenly there's 100,000 Rand, and that we need to discuss. The smart metering is something that we should be going. The city can immediately see if there's something wrong. They don't have to wait. So, sir, you've got a problem. And even those who are illegally disconnected can be disconnected immediately. Those who are illegally connected can be disconnected immediately because all of that drains the fiscal. You and I, we are the ones paying the bill. We need to read on time, and the best way is to do it from a control room through a smart meter and know exactly what's going on. And that includes those who qualify for 6 kiloliters of free water. We need to monitor that to see that it's only 6 kiloliters and not 7 kiloliters. At the moment, the taps are running. Nobody really knows what gets used where.
Water losses remain a major concern. How much of the municipality's financial pressure can be attributed to non-revenue water and infrastructure failures?
Well, if you say 54% is the accepted norm of water losses, that's what we know of. And the city, it's billions. We spend billions on water alone. That's never mind the electricity. There we are 12.7% loss. The infrastructure is failing. That's a reality. The city even admitted to it. I think 2 years ago we were spending 130 billion to get that replaced. There's no way that you've got 130 billion to replace your water infrastructure alone. And then at the moment, it's a known fact that the city's plumber network is not working. So the contractors have not been on the road for a month. So that means last week, Tuesday, a week ago, we were standing at 6,000 recorded water leaks that have not been fixed. That's probably doubled by this week. That means the 54% is much more because there's just not enough capacity and people to actually address the water losses. At the moment, the city is addressing it with the internal capacity, and the priority is the bursts. But the leaks, when you drive home to this evening or to work this morning, look at how many leaks are running and how long they've been running. That is money going right out of our pockets because that water is getting paid for, because by the time it leaks, it's already gone through the meters and we are paying for it. And is the city doing something about it? No. We've asked, there's a dispute, there's no money, contracts have been changed, but the reality is there's not one plumber. As we sit this morning, there's not one contract plumber out there doing any work, and the city had thousands of them doing the work. Why not? Because of political disputes, and who knows who's going to get the new contract and when it takes effect.
So if you've just tuned in, we're speaking with eThekwini DA Councillor Andre BEETGE. Now, Councillor, you've called for an accelerated rollout of smart water meters. How would this improve billing accuracy and accountability?
Well, it means that you can sit from a control room and you have got direct access to the information on these meters. So if there's a leak and you see excessive usage, you can immediately contact the customer, or you can even stop the supply from where you are in the control room. That means if there's an underground leak, it doesn't take 2 to 3 months before we now go into a dispute with the resident. The resident didn't know there was an underground leak, and in the meantime, the water is gone. You can also see if there's, let's say somebody is disconnected, you can immediately see if there's usage, means there's a illegal connection. If somebody is on the 6 kiloliter free water, again, you can immediately see that it's now exceeded. You can either close the water and then the people will have to pay for that extra water after the 6 kiloliters. That gives you direct control. You can see where it's going. And the same would apply to electricity. The electricity should also be monitored like that across the board. At the moment, we've got 12.7% loss in electricity. Why? Because nobody's monitoring it. Our backlog in converting conventional to electricity meters is 3.5 years, 3.5 years. That's excluding those who have got illegal connections, meters that have been bypassed. It gives you the ability to control and to see immediately what's going on across your city. So if there's loss, act immediately.
In closing this morning, Councillor, how much of the current problem is due to administrative inefficiencies, and how much is due to broader economic challenges facing residents today?
I would say a large portion could be attributed to administrative failure. If the human factor goes out there, they do not read the meter right, they change the digits around, then that accumulates. As I mentioned earlier, if I'm sitting with two accounts and those two accounts alone contribute for almost R500,000, how many R500,000 are out there? It's not uncommon for us to find a pensioner with a 500,000 rand bill. Now, that must translate immediately to the fiscal, because the city says that they've got an expected income of, let's say, for argument's sake, 500 million coming in this month. If that 500 million, so on paper, it reflects that you've got 500 million coming in, but in reality, the real income is, for instance, only 2 billion, because the other 3 billion is actually dispute. It means that loss of a better word, you're cooking the books, because you're showing that your credit and your abilities are much higher. That affects your credit rating and the confidence out there from the marketplace. But in reality, that's not going to transfer from estimations and billing to actual money in the bank. And that's why the cash on hand fluctuates all the time, anywhere from 14 to 22 days, when we should be having cash on hand between 1 and 3 months. So it's one thing to say, this is my liquidity on paper. It's another thing, what did I bank of that money? And that, you can see that it immediately influences the whole financial stance of the city. And that's what I would ask, why the plumbers not out there? Is it a matter of contract, or is it a matter that the city can't afford to put them out there?
Councillor Winner, thank you for your time this morning and your thoughts on the subject as well, and wish you a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Same to you.
So, that was eThekwini Municipality DA Councillor Andre BEETGE speaking on the eThekwini Municipality billing concerns, and a recent report presented before Council painting a rather troubling picture. Now, think about these numbers for a second. A city of approximately 4.5 million people being supported by just over 500,000 rateable properties, while thousands of billing queries continue to be logged each month.
Join us again tomorrow morning on TBR.